Media's perspective
Class,
on novels.
we're going to start today's class. As you know, you are following the syllabus. Today, the first group, the students in the third group are going to do their presentation. We start with the presentation process today. But before those students who was to do the presentation comes here, let me just introduce something on Ojaide himself. We started last time already. We are reading something on Ojaide because we're going to study a lot of his. We're going to study a lot of poetry of Professor Ojaide, right? Okay. What we are reading last time was about his production, his literary production. See here what I have on the screen for you. Literature as a cultural production, like he said. See, I have expressed this so often, but still need to state in this crucial presentation. Literature is a cultural production, right? In other words, literature is a part of a people's culture. Thus, the literature, whether oral or written, has a tradition, canon, aesthetics, and other aspects that are conditioned by the people's culture, experience, and sense of orality. One cannot separate a people's literature from their culture, even in the post-colonial context of the African experience. Africans may use European language, English, French, or Portuguese, but that foreign language is informed by the writer's indigenous African language, culture, worldview, sensibility, experience, and reality. The beauty I have seen is thus a contemporary African cultural production despite being written in English. Class, so far we have been talking of what is the topic of this class. Ms. Allison Garcia.
It's about environmental issues through literature.
Very good. Environmental issue in literature, right?
Yeah.
Now, see what Ojaide is talking about. What part of Nigeria is he from?
The Delta.
The Delta. What is specific to that area of Nigeria?
The rainforest.
The rainforest. But what is going against the existence of the rainforest?
The oil wells.
The crude oil exploitation, right? We saw that already. That's the crude oil exploitation is not in favor first of the people, because the people were just pushed on periphery, right? Mm-hmm. And when we see the people, what next? What goes along with the people? You say forest. The land, all this belong to what?
The corporate entities?
No, all this form part of nature, right?
Yeah.
They form part of nature. So we see now that man and nature. But there is something, there is a text I have to give to you on androcentrism, anthropocentrism. I've not given this text to you yet, right? No. You see, androcentrism, anthropocentrism. Let me read something here for you on that, so you have an idea what we mean by this. See this text one is written by one of your friends. You see, in the class that I'm teaching in LBST, that we call environmental literature, global connection, right? Can anyone read from? No, you can't read. It's too small for you to read. Okay,
I can read it.
Can you?
Yes.
Sure, let's go.
The essay, Androcentrism and Anthropocentrism, by Val Plumwood, discusses the arguments for and against the links between male-centric and human-centric thinking. The author first introduces the position of William Gray, who states that avoiding anthropocentrism is impossible and is a confused concept. Gray believes that in order to avoid anthropocentric thinking, all self-interest and self-reliance must be removed. Since humans cannot remove their connectivity to the earth, we cannot objectively consider and advocate for the needs of the environment. Plumwood argues that avoiding anthropocentrism is not reliant on complete transfer of self to the earth and complete disregard for self-interest. When a human has empathy and compassion for another, they are able to do so without complete separation of the self. Thus, could you raise the paper up just a bit?
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thus, the ability of the human to think of and consider the needs of the environment is possible.
Okay. You see? So, human being, the environment. We are talking of anthropocentrism, anthropology, anthropo, right? Relating to man and the environment. Now, see, the other aspect of this also is, when we are talking about anthropocentrism, we talk about androcentrism also. What is androcentrism?
Is man being in the center?
Man being, see, in the center of everything, excluding
Nature.
nature, woman, right?
And women.
Human and nature are identified as the same, right? In this culture,
That's why they call it Mother Nature.
Mother Nature. Okay, we'll talk about you see this a bit later when I give you this handout to prepare for the class. You see, Mr. Blue, would you read this last part for the class, please? Go ahead.
Yeah, Plumwood introduces a 5-step model of thinking that otherizes one group of humans from other humans. Exclusion, homogenization, backgrounding, incorporation, and instrumentation. In exclusion, one group removes themselves from all others. Then through homogenization, one is defined as center and all others are blended together in an us versus them setting. In backgrounding, the centralized group deems all others as inferior and unimportant, such as the background in a theater show exists only for the performance of the actors. In incorporation, the otherized group is compared to the model group by their perceived inferiorities to the model group. Finally, through instrumentation, the otherized group is viewed as merely an instrument of the centralized group.
Very good. So you see the structure is there already. See, this is what you call the manifestation of the centric structure. The centric structure, like we have already seen, is that we have a man, the male, see, male, masculine, see, at the center of everything, and the other, you see, element of existence gravitate around, see, the center, that is man. And what we are doing now is, see, in Western, not only Western, but in our society, human society, what happened is men always had fabricated the laws of society in his favor, to the detriment of women, and all these other elements of existence will serve, see, man, instrumentalism, right? You see? So what we are talking about here is, first, anthropocentrism, including women. We all subjugate nature to exploit it. Nature should provide us with everything. Now, one step further, we come androcentrism, where man is at the center of everything and women is excluded. And this started, see, with enlightenment. The period that's in Western culture, what we call, see, Western civilization, we call enlightenment. This is where the dichotomy started. You see, that formerly nature and God were one item. And with enlightenment, we see this splitting of God from nature. Then we see also man equating, see, himself with God at the center, and the other is equating herself with nature, which is woman. Okay, so when we are talking of nature, we are talking of women as the weak side of society that should come and support, see, the center, which is women.
So
Yes.
was it actual enlightenment that caused the split, or was it the perversion of enlightenment? Because
It's a version of enlightenment if you want to.
Yeah, 'cause
But the culture of enlightenment is the culture of dividing, right? You have two sides always. See, one side We. The other side, them, or you. You see?
Right.
If you remember what we talked about before in our Black Atlantic class, when we're talking about the Englishness, right? Englishness, for instance, right? The English is at the center of everything, and the other group of, you see, people gravitate around the center. Okay? And when we take from there, we come to the environment. The environment is exactly the same thing, too. This is what happens. So as women is treated as inferior to man in society, in our general conception of things, nature also is subordinate to man. You see? Now see, the last point I want to make is in this text here. This text. The last one before you start your presentation. See, I sent this text. I do not copy this text, but see, it's in the library. We'll talk about it later. Nature and social responsibility in Rachel Carson's Silent Spring and Tanudo Jaide's The Tale of the Harmattan. So we're going to work a lot in this right? The Tale of the Harmattan. And cross-border studies in social responsibility. Very quickly. See this quote.
What page is that?
No, you don't have it yet.
We don't have it.
I'll give it
It's
to you.
online.
It's online, yeah.
Africana Studies website. You can just pull that out.
Yeah.
You just go to the papers. They have
This
it.
book is an e-book, is in the library.
The green book?
Yeah, no, this group,
Oh,
the
okay.
text I'm going to work with right now.
Something different.
It's an ebook.
Okay.
E-book, yeah.
I see.
It's in the library, you can print it. Okay? See, let me read this quickly. There was once a town where all life seemed to live in harmony with its surroundings. The town lay in a checkerboard of prosperous farms with fields of grain and hillsides of orchard. Then a strange blight crept over the area and everything began to change. Everywhere was a shadow of death. See this small text. See. First, see for instance, this word blight. What is blight? Does anyone know the meaning of a blight?
Meaning darkness. Meaning
Okay. See,
uncomfortable or a sense of things being covered, suppressed.
suppress destruction, right?
Destruction,
Right?
suppression.
Destruction, okay, decaying, all right? So then a strange blight crept over the area and everything began to change. So blight is not something that is positive, right? Because when the blight came in, you see the area and everything began to change. To change in what sense? You see, everywhere was a shadow of death. Have this. Now see, there was once a town where all life seemed to live in harmony with its surroundings. Pristine Africa, pristine environment, right? Then Africa that we are talking about here has not yet come into contact with the outside world, colonialism, imperialism, right? So, you see, where all life seemed to live in harmony with its surroundings. The town lay in a checkerboard of prosperous farms with fields of grain and hillside of orchards. So you see the environment, you see verdant, productive, you see green in the world. Then a strange blight came. So now, as we are talking of environment here, the blight here, is it a word that has a specific meaning or just a metaphor?
Metaphor.
It's a metaphor, right? Blight is a metaphor. For instance, if we are in history, see how the Indian here came into contact with Europe, what happened to them? How? You see, the contact, you may,
Right.
depending on where you are, you may take this contact as a blight or something.
Right.
Okay? Because when these people here came into contact with Europe, we have something positive, but we have also things that are very negative. as
The
well.
social stratification changed.
Now, see the blight here. In the case of Ojaide, in his area, my dear lady, tell me now. You see, blight in the case that Ojaide is championing here, what can blight symbolize? Let's go now and finish the class with the explanation of blight here as a metaphor. If you have read something, see what you have been talking about, the environment, blight. And Ojaide is from
Nigeria.
Nigeria. What part of Nigeria?
The Delta.
And what is characteristic of that area as far as modern economy is concerned?
Natural.
Oil.
Oil.
That's it. So what do you think the blight is for the people, the Ogoni people of the land, you see, of Ojaide?
The actual petroleum that seeps out and kills the rainforest, or damages the rainforest.
Damage the rainforest, and also
The water.
the water, and also,
Fish. The shortage of the farmlands also.
okay, the agriculture, okay, the farmland, the people in the world, right?
The people no longer could farm, so they were impoverished.
So you see now the context in which we are studying blight here, the word blight. Okay? So this is what we're going to do in this course pack. You see, when we study, we start studying the poem, see, of Ojaide in this, you see a lot of, see, the fact here, that blight is a metaphor. We're going to see different dimension of the metaphor that the blight represents here. And it's about how, through capitalism, money making, we have subjugated the environment to our greed, I would say. Attention to be paid to what we are doing to the environment. And this is why we are taking this course, right? This class, to conscientize people and to conscientize ourselves and know that something very bad is happening, right? And that is the point that this class is about. So, basically, what we have to read for the next classes, see, I ask you to go to the Gray bookstore and have this copy of your book, you see. Have the old copy was not very well done. Now this is the best copy. We have to have, and we start working. We've done a lot of theory already. This presentation starts today, and then, you see, we are not going to delve actually into the substance of the course. Through your presentation and through some lecture I'm going to do later on, we'll just hone the course very well, you see, and some kind of serious conscientization will happen, so we know that we are damaging our environment, and what we're going to do is admonishing, informing and warning ourselves that we have to take some steps towards making things in a very more reasonable way and better way, so that we can do what we call sustaining the environment. Sustaining is a very difficult word to explain, because you see what we call sustainable development is also questionable. Okay? So this course has a lot of ramification in the humanities and social sciences, right? You see, our concern is political. It's sociological, right? It's historical. It has everything, you see, comprised together in what we are. Okay? Good. Any question now? Because you have the presentation, I can't go further than that. Questions? When we come back to what I'm talking about here, I will be more explicit in my explanation. Okay? Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, those who are for your presentation, come forward. Of course, you are not going to